Let me tell you something real quick. Your feelings will lie to you every single day. Your plan is the truth, but your feelings are the excuse. You wake up in the morning and that alarm goes off. What do your feelings say? Stay in bed, get a little more sleep, you deserve it. But what does your plan say? Get up, get after it, go chase what's yours. And right there, you got a choice. Every single day, you either follow the plan or you bow down to your feelings. And if you keep bowing down to your feelings, you're never gonna rise up to the level you were built for. See, everybody wants success until it starts to feel uncomfortable. Everybody wants greatness until it requires sacrifice. But your planet don't care about how you feel. Your plan is a map. It don't change because you're tired. It don't adjust because you're stressed. It don't back down because you had a bad day. That plan is steady, it's straight, it's fixed. You follow it, you win. You ignore it, you lose. Simple as that. Think about it. Feelings are temporary. You can feel motivated today and defeated tomorrow. You can feel confident in the morning and insecure by night. But if you got a plan, if you got a structure, if you got steps laid out for your dream, those steps don't vanish just because you don't feel like climbing them. You gotta climb anyway. You gotta move anyway. You gotta grind anyway. Some of you all been letting feelings run your life for too long. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like studying. I don't feel like hustling today. And every time you say that, your plan gets further and further away. Stop letting temporary feelings rob you of permanent blessings. Your future self is begging you to stop listening to your emotions and start trusting your plan. Because let's be honest, if success was about feelings, nobody would make it. You think champions always feel like training. You think leaders always feel like leading. You think winners always feel like winning. No, but they follow the plan anyway. They show up anyway. They fight anyway. And that's why they got the life everybody else dreams about. So here's the bottom line. The plan is the promise. The plan is the contract you made with your future. Feelings, they're distractions, they're lies, they're comfort traps. But if you want to win, if you really want to build that life, that business, that body, that dream, you gotta follow the plan, ignore the feelings, and keep moving forward no matter what. Discipline is stronger than emotion. Your plan must lead, not your mood. You see, discipline is the difference between people who talk about what they want and people who actually get what they want. Your emotions will rise and fall like the tide, but discipline keeps you steady, keeps you moving in the same direction no matter what's going on around you or inside of you. When you depend on your feelings to drive your actions, you become inconsistent, and inconsistency kills dreams faster than anything else. One day you feel motivated and you work hard, you push yourself, and you think you're on your way. The next day you wake up tired, stressed, unmotivated, and you let that mood decide your actions, so you do nothing. That up and down cycle destroys momentum, it destroys belief, and it leaves you stuck in the same place year after year. Discipline doesn't ask you how you feel. It just tells you what to do. And if you respect it enough to follow through, you'll start to see results no matter what your mood says. Think about the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, or anyone who's achieved real success. They all had moments when they didn't feel like showing up, but they did it anyway. They didn't let their emotions decide whether they trained, whether they worked, whether they studied, whether they pushed forward. They let the plan lead, they let discipline guide them. That's the secret most people miss. They think successful people are always motivated, always happy, always ready to go. The truth is, they feel the same emotions you do. They feel doubt, fear, laziness, frustration. But they've trained themselves to act according to the plan instead of the feeling. And when you act on the plan long enough, that discipline becomes habit. And once it becomes habit, it feels unnatural not to follow it. That's when the transformation happens, when you go from someone who needs motivation to someone who moves without needing it. Your plan is a roadmap, and it doesn't bend to your feelings. If you want to build a house, you don't wake up and say, "I don't feel like laying bricks today, maybe tomorrow." If you do that, you'll never get the house finished. You lay the bricks every day, whether you feel like it or not, because the house doesn't care about your emotions. It only responds to consistent action. Your goals are the same way. You can't expect to build a future if you only work when it feels good. You gotta show up when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're discouraged, because discipline is about commitment, not comfort. Discipline tells you that your dream is bigger than your mood, and that's the mindset you gotta adopt if you want to move from wishing to winning. Feelings are temporary storms. One moment you're inspired, the next you're drained. One moment you're confident, the next you're questioning everything. But discipline is the anchor. Discipline keeps you from drifting when the storms of emotion hit. And believe me, they will hit. You will have days when nothing goes right, when people let you down, when progress feels slow, when you doubt yourself. If you let those feelings decide your actions, you'll quit. But if you let discipline decide, you'll keep moving, and little by little, you'll get stronger. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you're building mental muscle. That muscle becomes the foundation that carries you through the hardest seasons of your life. Now, let's be clear. Discipline isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to what feels good in the moment so you can say yes to what feels incredible later. It requires waking up early when you'd rather sleep, studying when you'd rather scroll, grinding when you'd rather relax. But every time you honor the plan instead of your mood, you're telling yourself, "I'm in control, not my feelings." That's how you take back power over your life. Too many people are slaves to their emotions. They only work when they're motivated. They only try when they're inspired. They only push when they feel strong. And that's why they never get anywhere. But if you learn to follow the plan regardless of how you feel, you separate yourself from the crowd instantly. Most people won't do it. Most people will fold under their feelings. But not you. Not if you make the choice to be disciplined. Discipline is like a compass. It always points you in the right direction, even when you're lost in the fog of emotions. It tells you, "Here's what you said you'd do. Now go do it." It doesn't argue with your laziness. It doesn't negotiate with your excuses. It doesn't bend to your comfort. It just points straight to action. And if you trust it, if you follow it, you'll find that the consistency starts to create results you never imagined. Because success isn't built on motivation, it's built on consistency. Motivation sparks the fire, but discipline keeps it burning. Without discipline, your fire goes out every time the wind of emotion blows against it. With discipline, it burns through the storm, steady, strong, unstoppable, so when you wake up tomorrow and your mood tells you, "I'm too tired," remember the plan says we get up anyway. When your emotions say, "I don't feel like it," the plan says we do it anyway. When your feelings whisper, "Take it easy today," the plan shouts, "Stick to the schedule." And every time you choose the plan over the feeling, you're stacking bricks, building your future, shaping the life you want. Discipline over emotion, that's how you win. Feelings are temporary, but the results of consistency are permanent. Think about how many times in your life you've felt one way in the morning and a completely different way by nightfall. Emotions shift with circumstances, with weather, with people around you, with the smallest inconveniences. One setback can make you feel defeated. One compliment can make you feel unstoppable. One bad day can convince you to quit. And one good day can make you believe you've already made it. That's how fragile feelings are. They are fleeting, unstable, unreliable. But consistency is the complete opposite. Consistency is about showing up, day after day, regardless of what those temporary emotions are telling you. When you show up consistently, you build something that feelings can't take away. You build strength, you build habits, you build character, and most importantly, you build results that last long after the emotions fade. It's easy to get fired up in a moment of excitement. You hear a motivational message, you see someone winning, and your emotions light up. You feel ready to conquer the world, but the truth is that feeling doesn't last. That fire fades unless you back it up with action, unless you follow it with consistent steps toward your goal. The difference between dreamers and doers is consistency. Dreamers wait until they feel ready. Doers act every single day, whether they feel ready or not. And over time, it's the doers who build the results that can't be shaken. Because consistency compounds, small actions repeated daily turn into massive change. It might not be noticeable at first, it might feel slow, but consistency is like planting seeds. You water them every day, and eventually you grow a harvest. The feelings come and go like the weather, but the harvest remains when you rely on feelings. Your progress is scattered. You work hard one day, then slack off for 3. You make a move when you're motivated, then pause when the motivation is gone. That stop-hand, go approach is the reason so many people never see results. They confuse temporary effort with permanent commitment. But when you rely on consistency, your progress becomes inevitable. Even on the days you're not at your best, even when you don't feel like you gave 100%, the fact that you showed up adds another brick to your foundation. And over time, that steady building creates something solid, something unshakable, something no temporary emotion can take away. Consistency is also the great equalizer. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, the fastest, or the most talented. If you can outlast others by being consistent, you will surpass them. Talent without consistency is wasted. Intelligence without consistency goes nowhere. Passion without consistency burns out. But ordinary effort, applied consistently, creates extraordinary results. That's why people who might not look special, who might not have obvious advantages, end up achieving incredible things. They simply didn't stop. They didn't let their feelings dictate their pace. They committed to the process, and they stayed the course until the results showed up. That's the power of consistency. The challenge is that consistency is often boring. It doesn't give you the rush of excitement that emotions do. It doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment. Doing the same thing every day, sticking to the same habits, following the same plan can feel repetitive. It can feel dull. That's why so many people quit. They mistake boredom for failure. They think if they're not excited every day, then something's wrong. But the truth is, boredom is part of success. Discipline and consistency aren't about being thrilled. They're about being committed. And if you can push past the boredom, if you can embrace the grind, you'll wake up one day surrounded by results that are anything but boring. Results that make all the monotony worth it. Think about the gym. You don't get in shape from one great workout. You get in shape from months of consistent training. Think about building wealth. You don't become financially free from one good investment. You get there by consistently saving, consistently investing, consistently managing your money. Think about relationships. You don't build trust from one nice gesture. You build it from showing up day after day, being reliable, being present, being consistent. In every area of life, consistency creates the results, and those results outlive every temporary mood you ever had. Your feelings might tell you to skip the workout, but the consistency of training will give you a strong body. Your feelings might tell you to spend recklessly, but the consistency of saving will give you security. Your feelings might tell you to take shortcuts, but the consistency of doing things the right way will give you respect and credibility. Results are permanent, and they belong to the consistent. Another thing about feelings, they're often tied to comfort. Your emotions push you toward what feels good in the moment, but consistency pushes you toward what feels right in the long run. You might feel like sleeping in, eating junk, quitting early, but those choices never lead to permanent progress. They satisfy you temporarily but leave you empty later. Consistency, on the other hand, demands discomfort now for reward later. It asks you to do the thing you don't feel like doing because you know it's moving you closer to your goal. And when you stay consistent through that discomfort, you develop resilience. You train yourself to rise above temporary pleasure in pursuit of lasting success. Consistency also teaches patience. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification, where people want results yesterday. They start something and expect to see change immediately, and when they don't, their feelings convince them to quit. But consistency is the reminder that growth takes time. You can't rush the process. You can't force the seed to sprout faster than it's meant to. But you can water it daily. You can tend to it daily. You can keep showing up until the day it finally breaks through the soil. And when it does, it's not just a result of that one day. It's the result of all the consistent effort you put in before, when nothing seemed to be happening. That's the lesson your feelings will never teach you, but your consistency will always prove so. If you want a future that stands the test of time, stop relying on temporary emotions. Stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect burst of inspiration, the perfect day to start. There is no perfect time. The only thing that matters is consistency. Show up when you're tired. Show up when you're discouraged. Show up when you're uninspired. Show up when your feelings are trying to pull you in every other direction. Because when you look back years from now, it won't be the emotions you remember, it'll be the results. And those results will be the reward for every moment you chose consistency over feelings. Commitment to the plan guarantees progress, no matter how you feel. The truth about life is that success doesn't come from luck. It doesn't come from inspiration alone, and it doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment. Success comes from committing to a plan and refusing to back away from it, regardless of how you feel on any given day. When you make a plan, what you're really doing is drawing a map to your destination. That map doesn't change just because the weather turns bad. It doesn't disappear because you're tired. It doesn't rewrite itself because you feel discouraged. The plan remains the same, and if you commit to it, you move forward no matter what's going on inside of you or around you. Progress might be slow at times, it might feel invisible at times, but if you're committed, progress is inevitable. The problem most people face is not that they don't have a plan, it's that they don't stick to it. They start strong, they map out steps, they set goals, but then feelings creep in. They feel overwhelmed, they feel impatient, they feel doubtful, and those feelings convince them to step off the path. They tell themselves they'll get back to it later, when they feel better, when life calms down, when motivation returns. But later never comes because feelings never stay consistent. That's why commitment is so powerful. Commitment says, I'm doing this no matter what. Commitment says, this is the direction and I'm not turning back. Commitment makes the plan non-negotiable, and when something is non-negotiable, it gets done. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. One group commits. The other group waits for feelings to align with the plan. When you commit, you remove the option of quitting. You remove the option of skipping. You remove the option of letting your emotions rewrite your story. Commitment is a contract you sign with yourself, and the ink is discipline. Every time you honor that contract, you build momentum. Every time you follow through despite your feelings, You prove to yourself that you can be trusted, and self-trust is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Because once you know you will do what you said you'd do, no matter how you feel, you become unstoppable. Nothing outside of you can derail you when you've made a firm commitment inside of you. Progress is guaranteed when you're committed to the plan because consistency compounds. One day of effort might not change much, but 100 days of effort will transform everything. One small step may feel insignificant, but thousands of small steps add up to miles traveled. And the beauty of commitment is that it keeps you walking even when those steps feel heavy. On the days when motivation is gone, on the days when energy is low, on the days when your feelings scream for comfort, commitment carries you forward. You might move slower, you might not feel like you're giving your best, but because you're moving, you're still progressing. And progress is what builds confidence. Every inch forward reminds you that you're closer than you were yesterday, and that sense of forward motion fuels you to keep going. Commitment to the plan also teaches you resilience. Life will throw obstacles in your path, and your emotions will flare up when they do. You'll feel frustration, you'll feel disappointment, you'll feel fear. Without commitment, those feelings will stop you. But with commitment, those feelings become background noise. You acknowledge them, but you don't obey them. You keep moving through the storm because the plan hasn't changed. And when you do that often enough, you become unshakable. You stop being a person who is controlled by circumstances and start being a person who controls their response. That shift is what separates leaders from followers, achievers from quitters. Leaders commit to the plan no matter how they feel, and that's why people look up to them. They embody stability in a world full of chaos. Another important truth is that commitment doesn't mean perfection. Some people think sticking to the plan means never making mistakes, never missing a step, never falling short. That's not realistic. You will stumble, you will have off days, you will make errors, but commitment means you get back up and keep going. Commitment means you don't throw away the whole plan because of one bad day. Commitment means you trust the process even when you've had setbacks. Progress is still guaranteed because progress isn't about being flawless. It's about being relentless. It's about showing up again and again until the results arrive. Those who demand perfection quit too soon, but those who are committed stay long enough to see the plan unfold into reality. Committing to the plan also simplifies life. Feelings create confusion because they change constantly, but commitment brings clarity. When you're committed, decisions become easier. You don't have to ask yourself every day, do I feel like doing this? You don't have to debate whether to take action or not. The plan is already decided, and your only job is to follow it. That clarity saves energy, it removes doubt, it removes hesitation. Instead of wasting time wrestling with emotions, you spend your energy executing. That's how progress speeds up, not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing everything consistently. And the more you commit, the less space you give to excuses. Excuses thrive in indecision, but commitment leaves no room for them. The most powerful part of commitment is that it builds identity. When you stick to the plan no matter how you feel, you begin to see yourself differently. You're no longer someone who starts and stops, who gets pulled around by emotions, who gives up when things get tough. You become someone reliable, someone disciplined, someone determined. And that identity shift fuels even more progress, because you live up to who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone committed, then quitting is no longer an option you can accept. That's how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. They decide to commit, and in doing so, they transform not only their results, but also their sense of self. So understand this. Feelings will always change, They will always fluctuate. They will always test you. But your plan, if you commit to it, will remain steady. And progress is guaranteed when you keep walking that steady path. It may not be glamorous. It may not always feel exciting. It may not even feel fast, but it works. Every step you take while committed to your plan is a step toward the life you want. And no temporary emotion can take that away from you once you've earned it through consistency and discipline.